Hi, my name is Patricia Hogue, and I'm with Texas Lawyers for Children. We're a nonprofit. Our mission is to improve case outcomes of abused and neglected children by improving the legal services they receive, or legal representation. And so our business basically is providing resources to judges and attorneys. We evaluate, on doing a better job and just improving the level of legal representation that they get in these cases. I am here to testify. I'm not opposed to, I'm testifying on the bill, and basically with regard to the issue of the privatization of case management services. We have provided a testimony, written testimony, as well as a proposed amendment, Appendix A, of sort of a compromise on this issue in light of other, the statements that have been made with regard to this issue. We are concerned about the privatization of case management services, the total privatization, shifting this whole role from what it is currently, as in the example in Tarrant County, into eliminating all direct contact by CPS with the children in this case. And that seems to be the proposed idea. If we don't want to duplicate any roles or have CPS be performing a unilateral case, then we need to look at the reality that it's going to take more than just one set of eyes to make sure these kids are safe. If we take away the ability of a CPS worker to have eyes on, face-to-face, and get firsthand knowledge from that child, we would never be able to determine whether or not that child is truly being protected in a private foster home and whether or not their best interest is actually being served by that private agency who's making all those decisions on that child's behalf. There have been numerous examples, and specifically in the federal case filed, those children were not sexually abused or repeatedly abused by the caseworker. They were abused in the foster home, and those things went unreported, and nothing was done because those children did not have enough contact with their caseworkers because of the underfunding and the overwhelming caseload that many of these workers have. So there is a need to fund CPS to the fullest to keep caseworkers involved in all of these children's cases. We are not saying duplicate all resources. We want a community-based system that provides the services directly to the child and that works with the community to find access for these children to have their needs met. We just don't want the government, whose job it is to protect these children, to step away and turn their eyes and let these children be subject to whatever the agency decides to do. As you know, all nonprofits also have a financial incentive to keep their doors open and to keep these kids flowing in. And so we fear that there is going to be a greater danger that these kids are going to be subjected to cover-up. That currently happens in many privately run foster homes. An example of that is in the memo wherein Barbara Elias Percival, the director of Texas Lawyers for Children, represented children who were placed in a foster home, and they were sexually abused by other foster children in the home. The child reported it to the therapist, but the therapist had a contract with the private funded child placing agency, and so that case manager went into the child and convinced the child that they shouldn't outcry so that they could keep that home open. Eventually, the child did report it to the CPS caseworker who they did have a relationship with, and this came forward, and so action was taken on behalf of that child. But if we keep these kids within this privatized sector and we don't let the government come in and do their job, then we are putting these children at risk. Another concern that we have is that we cannot, by leaving CPS's role in just overview or case review or judging whether or not this is working by performance measures, we never get the true picture of what's happening for that child and in that child's life. We don't know whether those decisions being made are in the best interest. Just because a child graduates from high school, which would be a good point for the privatized agency, or just because there's been a permanency plan made, that doesn't mean that if that child is sexually abused by a foster parent and that goes unreported, that child has not been harmed. It would, not that we can prevent that from happening, but the fact that CPS, if they have the continued responsibility of intervening in that case and finding out directly from that child what is going on in their lives and determining whether or not therapy is working, whether the services being provided are having a positive effect and not a negative effect, whether they're not being forced to go to conversion therapy or other examples such as that, then it's the state's responsibility to have that oversight and not just review reports filed by the private agency to make sure that didn't happen, or not just to check the boxes to make sure that permanency is being made or that an adoption has taken place. Another example, a judge gave us...
Okay, Miss, that's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Did you, you registered as on, did you want to be on or against?
I am testifying on the bill, so it's not, I'm not testifying against the bill.
Okay.
I am testifying to the fact that case management should not be privatized. And as I said, we do have recommendations to the court in showing how CPS can still have an oversight and still maintain direct contact and get firsthand knowledge to provide to the court.
Thank you.
In that process.
Members, any questions? Anybody? Thank you very much. Thank you all.